From the art of the deal to keeping it real. Live from the Simply Vegas studios, it's The Power Move with John Gafford.
Back again for another episode of The Power Move. I'm your host, John Gafford. This is a podcast where we try to talk about business, we talk about life, we talk about interesting things, try to get you from one place where you are now to the next. With me to my left, as always, is the Bulgarian mongoose, Colt Amadan.
Or Michael Miller. That's who stole my identity on Instagram and has more followers than me.
I love
that made me feel bad today. Not going to lie.
There's a fake account on Instagram, and they have more followers than Colt. So fake you is better than real
Way
you.
better.
Yeah, but fake you probably puts out some effort.
Way better. And
I lost friends.
And piping in from the couch is the counselor, Chris Connell. How are you, counselor?
Gentlemen, always good.
Always good. And in the hot seat today, ladies and gentlemen, we have one of my oldest and dearest friends, believe it or not. And he's not here because he's one of my friends. As a matter of fact, the fact that he's one of my friends probably makes him not want to be here. But we have him here because it's an interesting story. Noel is the president of probably one of the most interesting restaurant concepts. It's not even a restaurant concept, hospitality concepts, attraction, we'll call it. Essentially, Noel makes millions of dollars selling cold air is what he does. And
Brilliant.
If you talk about what that is, but there's more than we're not just, Noel is the president of the Icebars here in Las Vegas, and they've also scaled some across the country. And Noel's got a cool story, man. I mean, I figured the reason that I called Noel is not just because you're going to listen to this and say, how can I become brutally successful selling cold air? That's not why I had him in. Why I had him in is as the economy starts to turn and starts to change, and I'm seeing these companies lay a lot of people off. Well, Noel and I have been friends for a long time, and I saw him get smoked in a downturn type deal where he lost something that was a lifetime literally of work for you, fell apart. And then the climb back to where you are now is a pretty good story. It really is.
Without a doubt. Life will throw a lot of unexpected things at you, and some people can crawl under a rock under the bed and never come out of it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of shit thrown at me.
No, you did, man, for sure. But before we get to your story, man, we got to talk about some current events as we go along. So the first thing is, I'm pretty proud of us, boys. Pretty proud. All of our wives this weekend went away to the beach and stayed at the Newport house. I am proud to report
7 kids went.
7
kids. 7 are still alive.
7 kids are still alive.
Yeah, they're still alive.
All of our children survived the weekend.
7 kids arguably alive.
Yeah, no trips to the hospital, no stitches. Everything's fine. And we were talking about this earlier. So let's get into, let's see the frequency at which our wives listen to the show. Let's just see if this
They're never going to
hear this. Let's see if this even comes up.
So
my experience, and I think we discussed and everybody had a similar experience, was my house might have been cleaner the whole time my wife was gone, and had nothing to do with me cleaning anything up. It just had to do with not letting the minions run the asylum.
Control. Lack of tolerance.
I think that was it. Yeah, I had a 0 tolerance policy.
That's so funny that all 3 of us, that was the first thing we all said.
Yeah, I mean,
my
exactly.
house smelled like a tropical, beautiful Tommy Bahama. It was nice.
It was like I could see Colt laid out in the bathtub with like some bombs and a glass of white wine. I could tell.
Red wines, John. Get it right. Get it right.
I could see you doing this, like the kids banging on the door, and you're like, "Daddy's in his relaxed time."
Daddy time.
Connell, truth be told, did the maids come before the wifey came?
Nope.
Smells
No,
so fresh in here.
went through and I got to. So the beauty was I got to throw a lot of shit out that I would never dare risk doing while she's there. Won't notice it.
Undercover.
Yeah, I think the best part of it was the fear in your eyes, though, when you're like, "What have you done? Now I have to take care of my own children." That's what Carl said to me.
Well, I just didn't sign up for that. I had no intent of ever being
of raising these.
I want to be a father on
Cancel
paper. I want to be a
Chris getting
celebrity on
canceled right
paper.
now.
I don't actually want to be one. I want to be one on paper.
No one said I have to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be able to call up and get a good. This is why I said I'll be John Grisham famous hopefully one day, where nobody knows what you look like. It never, you're not being followed to the bathroom in Disneyland.
Yeah.
But you can call up a restaurant and get a good table. That's what I wanted out of fatherhood.
Yeah.
To get the big piece of chicken, to have the day where you gotta, bring me golf socks or whatever.
That's it, yeah.
But that's basically
that's what the line is.
That's just
the line. So Colt, I gotta believe. Speaking of being followed into the bathroom at Disneyland, I gotta believe you have a story about this. I'm just gonna.
Bathroom? You know what? It's what happened to me the other day at the bathroom. I was really disgusted by it. I can't remember. Give me a second. I was thinking.
What happened to me in the bathroom the other day? I was really disgusted by it.
If you ever know, like what it's like to be on a reality show, like you would say something like that, and it would definitely get jump cut into something else. Yeah. What happened?
What
in the
happened to my reality show?
What happened?
Some guy interviewed me.
What?
And go.
No.
I don't know. I can't remember. Something just happened. I was so disappointed. Oh, you know what it was? The guy straight up started to have a conversation with me and tried to shake my hand
In the bathroom?
in the bathroom and hadn't even washed it. That's what it was.
At the urinal?
Town Square.
At the urinal?
Yeah.
You don't do that?
Yeah. We don't tell my
There we
Don
go,
King
big
story.
guys.
Did I tell you the Don King story?
No.
So a million years ago, when I was running Cobalt Lounge in Atlanta, we had all the Super Bowl parties during Super Bowl 2000. I walk in the bathroom in the VIP area, and Don King's in the bathroom, right?
Stealing money from somebody?
No. He walks in, and I'm just in there because I was like, whatever, the little bathroom attendant guy needed some. I was doing something, right? I wasn't milling around the bathroom for no reason.
Right.
There was a reason I was
do
in
the
there.
same thing.
Hey, Plexico Burris.
No. So I'm in there, and he walks in, and he washes his hands, and then he goes to the urinal, and then he turns to walk out. And I'm standing there, and I kind of had this look on my face, like, and he looks at me and doesn't even say, he goes, when you shake as many hands as I do, you wash your hands before you touch the dick.
He's not wrong.
No, he really isn't.
I was like, okay.
That's the cleanest thing on your body.
Oh, yeah.
That's my Don King story. There it was. But, I did want to talk about something else. I want to tell something
Is
else.
it about the death penalty? Because I want to.
No, feel free for death
I
penalty.
feel like if you go to another man and there's a urinal that could have divided you, and you go to the one beside the other man, I think it's. I don't believe in the death penalty for a lot of reasons.
I think
But
the law
that's
gets so fun to mess with
That's a
people.
positive.
So directly, you're guilty of this. There should just be like some kind of drone that hovers over
So
a bathroom.
help me here, because my son, 10 years old, Raiders game this weekend, big crowds.
Stadiums are.
He's got a
difficult.
choice. One guy's here, a couple empty ones over, and you see, and he goes to 3 or 4, and he's running away, right? I guess that's pretty normal, but there's a lesson there somewhere.
Well, the lesson is he's like 3.5 feet, 4 feet tall. He's in the spray zone. That's like, he got to choose a lot.
I'm out.
Yeah, he got to choose a lot more careful than we do. Oh God, you don't want that.
Stay clear of other men in the urinal when you have
when
choice.
possible.
But when you ever have a choice,
When possible.
or make it super weird. I had a friend a long time ago in Orlando that would always come up and stand next to me at the urinal in a crowded restroom and just lean over and go, "Hey, great penis." And everybody would just make it very strange, which is good. But I'll tell you what else is strange. Let's talk about a conspiracy theory that I believe may be true. I heard this one over the weekend, and it resonated with me, made a lot of sense. I have no idea if it's accurate.
Could just be a theory.
Could just be a theory. But it was a guy I saw on a podcast, so it's real. It's true. It's
Factual.
true. So anyway, what this cat was saying was, he goes, his theory was, he goes, listen, in China, the algorithm for TikTok is entirely different than the algorithm in the United States.
About positive and negative.
Have you heard this? No. In China, the algorithm will reward you for talking about science or mathematics or this and that.
There's a positive.
Yes, there's positive. Whereas in the United States, it rewards you for doing the dumbest possible
I don't
shit.
think that's a conspiracy theory.
You think that's real?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
I was under the impression that was already established.
I didn't know. See, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're training a whole generation of idiots.
What do you think we're doing?
Welcome to America, John.
I'm trying to listen.
John,
I'm trying to.
If you're
thought
just
that was-
figuring
Hold on, son.
this out, that's a
Talk to
bombshell.
the guy in the urinal next to you and go, look at that penis.
Yep.
John,
Right here in the power move.
In the power move, we should be telling people how to exploit those facts.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not whether or not they exist.
That's a good. No, so you're in agreement that that's real.
Oh, for
you
sure.
think?
100%.
Do you show me a Chinese TikTok where you got a dad doing
Some dance move.
Well, okay.
Do you feel like
can
you
I ask
should
my
be
other, can I ask my
punching
other
the
TikTok
throat?
question?
like building rockets on
Can I ask my other TikTok question, which is this? How long do you think it is before somebody goes up to somebody in a Home Depot in the state of Florida and knocks their hat off or puts a bucket on their head and they pull a gun out and shoot them on the stand their ground attack?
Again, that hasn't happened.
And it hasn't happened. How long before it happened? I mean,
It's coming.
I think those are
dude,
set up, though. I don't believe anything I see.
I hate that they come down my stream on everything I look. These morons that want to bump into people or knock people's head. Dude, I can't wait for you to get shot. I cannot wait for that to happen.
If you want to look at that optimistically, if you want to be an optimist, which I think we see so many instances of XYZ happening, when you look at the actual world, I argue that most people are honest. I think that most people do the right thing.
The shopping cart theory.
Yeah. I mean, well, no. Because I would say that more people are genuinely honest. I think some people don't maybe think, they're maybe not self-aware, but I think people want to be in the moment. I think people want to be the good guy in their own movie. Yeah. And I think that people will see themselves as the protagonist, right? And so at the end of the day, I don't think that most people are going to pull out a gun and shoot you at Home Depot. I think when that happens, there's 330 million people in this country. And when you're a statistician, you go, well, I see 5 horrible things happen. But you're talking about that's 330 million, it's 229 million, blah, 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 who aren't doing crazy shit. Yeah. So if you see guys walking up the escalator, one guy's going down and then he rubs his hand on him and like gives him the eye. And
most people, you might catch the wrong guy, right? You might you might get the wrong guy. I mean, you get these idiots that go, they go to South Central or wherever, Compton, and start pretending like they're going to fight somebody. I think it's a low statistical probability.
It's a generational thing, though, on the genuine, everyone wants to be the hero, but it's eroding.
Oh, yeah.
Some
parts traded for a like and traded for a,
here's an interesting thought, because I had a little exercise in my own brain this week I'll share with you. This was interesting. So I won't get into exactly what was going on because it's irrelevant to the story, but what was happening was, so many times in life we get disappointed in other people because they don't behave in a way that we feel we would put in their similar situation.
Like leaving bags of ice in a Lamborghini.
Exactly, leaving bags of ice in a Lamborghini. But
that's amazing.
But in case in point, we can talk about that in a minute if you want. But case in point, there was a situation where somebody close to me was very upset because somebody else was not behaving a way that they felt they would in a similar situation. And so I said, okay, hang on a second, let me do this. And I said, let me try to think back where there's a time when I didn't act to that standard. And can I find a place in my life when I did? And I think as soon as I thought back and I realized, holy shit, here's a situation where I guarantee somebody wanted me to act a certain way and I did not, even though what I felt was okay. And maybe I asked that person about it. Is this okay? Whatever. Down deep, it probably was not to the standard that I'm asking this or thinking this person should act. 100%. And I think if before you get disappointed in others, I mean, look, the Stoics say, and I'm all about modern Stoicism. It's funny. There was on Modern Stoic today, it literally came up talking about having no expectation for other people. You'll be a lot happier. But I think as humans, I think it's impossible sometimes to do that. Yeah. So, looking at that, and before you start to get angry or upset or deflated about someone else's actions, just simply place yourself in a similar situation. Look back in your life and say, have I always held myself to that standard? None of us are perfect. But it honestly, in my brain was immediately like, and when I was able to vocalize to the person I was talking to, they were like, oh, I guess that's true. And it kind of diffused that emotion.
Well, it's true in a family setting, but it's also true in a work setting, but a little different because there have to be expectations to be set.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes they don't deliver, right? But
I think that's true. In a personal relationship, it's different than a job. I'm paying you, like Don Draper says, that's what the money's for. Yeah. It's just at the end of the day, I'm not paying to empathize.
For a friendship.
A good boss will probably empathize with employees to a point, as long as it's not disruptive to your business.
That's where the coaching piece comes in. Right?
Yeah,
that's where you can get it. You can get them to good.
In my defense, it was 8 Trulies deep. So sorry, John.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. For those of you wondering about the Lamborghini thing this weekend, we ordered our buddy AJ, Bet with AJ. You can go back and check out his episode if you like. One of the best sports handicappers here in Vegas. I told him, this is really strange to me. And AJ, I hope you're watching, buddy, because Jesus, this is
if not, I'm sending you.
Yeah, if not, we'll send it to you. But so let me tell you so here's what AJ does. So AJ, first of all, I say, hey man, we're taking the Sprinter to the tailgate, which was awesome, by the way. It worked out perfectly. And come on down. So he shows up like as we're walking to the stadium. He says he's coming at like 11 and he's texting constantly the whole time. There in a minute, there in a minute, there in a minute. Shows up as we're walking to the stadium. And as we get right in front of the stadium, he goes, are you guys going to the game? It's like, yeah, dude.
He goes, where are you, Chris? I'm like, watching kickoff.
I'm out.
Yeah, dude, we're going to the game. He's like, oh, I didn't know we were going to the game. I thought we were just going to hang out in the parking lot. That's what we did in college. I go, no, the tailgate is the pregame.
We have money now. We can buy tickets to the game.
So he's calling Colt saying, what can I bring? Or called you or somebody. And they're like, bring 2 bags of ice. He rolled up in a $250,000 Lamborghini, parked it, left 2 bags of ice in it, and came
in the front seat,
and came in the game with us. And shockingly enough, it did not melt. So, AJ, whatever you're doing it right. Because if that was my car, God would have flooded that thing. The stick shift would have been floating.
110 degrees out with 90% humidity.
No kidding.
4 hours. That's amazing.
It was amazing.
That is amazing.
It was amazing. So if you're still listening, that's 15 minutes of nonsense. Well, thank you for staying with us. Hopefully, I'll make sure I tag this so we can get to what we want to talk about today. But again, today's show is about overcoming adversity more than it is about selling. There's a lot of good lessons in Noel's story, and I want to kind of go through them. So as you're telling it, if I stop you and kind of dig deeper, let's do that. So first of all, I know all this stuff, so it's a little redundant for me. But for those of you who don't know, Noel, where did you grow up? Tell us about the young age. Tell us about you as a kid, man.
Grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. All my family's still there. Migrated to a little town of sand dunes called Destin, Florida, 1977. Back off to LSU for a few years and found myself in Orlando.
Well, stop this. Hang on a second. Because we always ask this question.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. This is the question that we always ask, which is, what was the first hustle as a kid to make money? What was the first thing you can remember doing to make money?
10 years old, cleaning up a parking lot of a bar called Hog's Breath Saloon. Famous place out of Fort Walton's where it started and managed to be Key West, Cancun. Cleaned up the parking lot for $5 a day and a free Coca-Cola.
How'd you get that gig?
Went in and asked for it because I needed some money.
Is there anything I could do to make some money at 10 years old?
And yeah, it was a grind. I needed something to do, and I saw the fruits of my bigger brother's labor as he was working, and it became important. So and it was tough. Broken bottles, there was glass everywhere. It was hot.
OSHA compliant.
Exactly. Wasn't OSHA compliant at all. There's a lot of that from our younger days, I guess. So that was the first hustle, and then you went to LSU.
Went off to LSU. I was bartending through college.
Was that the first job in hospitality?
I'd kind of come up through a restaurant in the Destin area, bar backing and busboying and whatnot, shucking oysters, and it actually paved the way to open that door at LSU when I needed some money. It wasn't a free ride over there. I kind of worked my way through college.
Yeah.
And then got out of there and kind of wound up in Orlando, Florida. Mm-hmm. That's kind of really where the saga begins. I was looking for a job, and someone told me there was this place that's about to open, and they have this cool thing called a bloomin' onion. And I started at one of the very first Outback Steakhouses.
What was your employee number?
Oh, good one.
You told me it was like, if I recall correctly, I want to say it was like 27. Is that accurate?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't really remember that.
Yeah. You told me at one point.
But I started as a server with them at their third location. And of course, you know the story. That thing kind of blew up quickly. And that was an interesting story with Outback.
Well, health food has really exploded lately.
It's changed a lot. It's changed a lot.
The blooming onion is perfect.
I will say the food quality at Outback, while still okay, is not nearly what it was when they first opened.
No, not at all.
It's not even remotely the same product.
Not at all. Look, I mean, I didn't know that was going to be a 21-year career for me.
Yeah.
I was just trying to make ends meet and hanging out in Orlando doing my thing. I think I was 22, 23. Never in my life dreamed I would be in hospitality. It was a stop along the way like it is for most people. But they had a great program, and I didn't know that eventually. I really didn't pay attention to it. I think my work ethic and my personality and gregariousness kind of had them tapping on my shoulder at some point to get behind the bar and eventually become a trainer. I think the second year I was there, the company opened 100 restaurants, and I opened probably 40 of those.
That's a lot.
On the road, traveling, making my mark, and kind of, it was great. I mean, I was really having the time of my life. I got to see a lot of things, meet a lot of people, but I started to see really what the deeper program was about, in the management, right? I had stars in my eyes of this big trainer deal, and I learned a lot. Great culture with this company at the time. I didn't open for lunch. It was dinner only. Then I kind of come to find out that their GM, they didn't really have GMs. They had partners, put up money. You get a 10%, stake in the business, and you run it for 5 years in your community, and you become the mayor, the human resources, the maintenance guy. You're everything. And I said, how do I do this? And I remember to this day, my superior at the time said, got to get in the kitchen. I really wasn't a kitchen guy. I was a front of house guy from my whole life. And And it took a lot of nuts, but I did it. I was in Daytona Beach, one of the busier stores that they had. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I remember being in that kitchen, making those blooming onions. It wasn't easy, right? 6 in the morning, and it was a 70-hour-a-week grind. I mean, it was a grind. And I was like, what am I doing? I mean, I was making less money than I was bartending, and but I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. These guys were making good money, and they had equity. And I thought it was worth going 2 steps backwards to take 1 step forward. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was a point in time where I was kind of over it. I was like, this is a grind. This is what everybody says. Don't get in the restaurant business. You're going to burn yourself out, right? And there was this old dude, my next door neighbor in Daytona Shores, which I lived on the beach, and he was always about his garden, retired. We got into this pattern for 6 months, but he'd be out there, and I'm going to work 6 in the morning. And every day he would look up, and he goes, don't let the bastards get you down. Seriously.
Don't let them get you down.
Rings true to me to this day.
Every day.
I mean, this dude was like, don't let them get you down.
Well, I can tell you, in an industry that's so will just burn you up and burn you up. That's what I do love about that particular brand is they do offer that proprietor. I mean, whenever you walk into a restaurant, and they still to this day, it says like, this is the proprietor of this business, right?
The program's changed quite a bit. It's not what it was,
but doesn't Darden do some stuff like that as well? Darden does that as well.
Several people try to replicate what it was. It's difficult to do. I think what you're seeing is it was there, and then that went away.
Yeah.
And now with all the labor problems that are happening, especially post-COVID, I think you're starting to see some people really understand the equity of that. And these people are soldiers.
Well, the word that you're saying that's more, people are so short-sighted about money today. They get so short-sighted about it, they don't understand the value of equity. Equity is everything. It's everything in a business. You can be the most well-paid person in the world, but if you are the one that's operating the business day in and day out, you got to have equity.
Absolutely. It's what kept us busy every day. So
yeah, you got to do it. So you're at Outback, and when did you become? Where's your first store that you were proprietor?
I was one of the youngest partners at 26, and I made my way to Utah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right up your deal. So I traveled around all over Florida as a manager and cutting my teeth. I was asked to come to Vegas in the early 90s. I think I moved here in 89, or I'm sorry, about 93. Mm-hmm. And we opened all of the Outbacks here in town. I was still a manager, kind of moving around. Then we developed the Salt Lake City market. I moved out there, got one of the first ones in Salt Lake going, and then I took the one, believe it or not, Catholic boy from New Orleans, had to spend 5 or 6 years in Provo, Utah.
Oh, wow.
Home of the BYU Cougars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then from there, I'd really done well. One of the lowest liquor mixes in the company, and I had just tremendous numbers. And migrated my way back to Tampa, and wound up having a store right next to our home office. The equity grew in that situation. When you re-sign again, you have the opportunity to buy into a deeper stack, if you will, of the company. And then made my way up to a joint venture partner. We partnered with Jimmy Buffett and operated a concept called Cheeseburger in Paradise. I had the whole state of Florida. Started developing some things. Company.
What happened? What happened with that? That seemed like a can't miss deal. Was it too much competition with like Margaritaville? Like what happened there?
No, I think
we never really talked about what happened.
At the time, our company had gone private. We went public, went private, public again, and things were kind of changing. We were 1,200 restaurants, 60,000 employees. I mean, we started at 3. Crazy. It was a huge ride. Some buyouts, some stock, etc. I think the cheeseburger thing is we acquired a Mexican concept that went out of business, and we took over 40 sites. I think we just grew
too fast,
way too fast. We didn't have the infrastructure. There was a lot of things, but the concept itself, I think, had legs. The culture that Jimmy Buffett brings, everyone's on vacation. It is paradise found. It was a neat thing, especially when we tried to bring that to Middle America. I think it worked, but we grew a little too fast.
Well, I think if you're trying to open 40 doors that quick, the logistics must have just smoked you, and trying to get product that was consistent.
Incredibly tough on all points, right? Yeah. On all that. So, with that said, that's kind of where we get into the exit. About 21 years later, I mean, it hit hard. It wasn't a pretty exit for me.
Yeah,
it was. I'd gone through a lot of personal things. If we're going to get right into the the hit and bottom type of thing, which I think is really what we really want to get into with this segment. Not to get too personal, but I lost 3 kids with my former marriage. Had to bury 3 kids. kind of had a rough ending to that Outback deal, and things had changed quite a bit. It was probably time, but it didn't end very well at that point in time. I wound up moving back to Vegas, kind of out of work, and this was when the housing crash kind of happened. Long story short, within a 6-month period of time of having that personal tragedy stuff happen, to moving back to Vegas, to divorce and bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. I turned 40 years old, with nothing to show for it. I dumped all of my Outback buyout into a huge house in Mountain's Edge. Mm-hmm. Probably, at the time the robo signing was going on, I dumped it all, thinking, hey, I don't want a debt, I don't have a job, let me just dump it all in here and make sure I got an asset that's
something
safe, or something. And of course, divorce and then eventually bankrupt. I was sitting with nothing.
Yeah, I remember that time with you, and man, it was a real struggle. There were days. I mean, you moved in with a friend of ours, and that was nice enough to kind of let you couch surf.
Saved my life.
So here you were. You're 40 years old. Marriage is dissolving. Bankrupt. You just lost the house. I mean, this was you were struggling.
Yeah, big time.
And our buddy Pike let you move in, couch surf with him, and I'll never forget. You called me up one day and you said, "Okay, I got to do something. You said, there's this margarita slash ice cream deal at Caesars. I can go manage it. It's not a job I necessarily want, but they're going to pay me $100,000. What would you do?" You asked me what I would do. And I was like, I mean, shit, man, you need money. It's $100,000. Take $100,000. Just go. Yes. It'll get your feet on you, find something different. And you did. And I'm going to show a picture real quick.
Where did you
can see it. You look up on the screen. I'm going to show this.
Oh, wow.
So, there's a picture of Noel. And when I first walked up on him, I was like,
that little cutie, huh?
I was like, you didn't tell me there was a hat involved.
Yeah. John, I remember this day. I mean, I do, because my heart hit the ground when I saw you, because I didn't think anybody was going to see me here. I was scooping ice cream at 40 years old. Why?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to pay my child support and I wanted to do my responsible thing. But it was a tough ego pop.
So
bow tie and a little top hat.
Yeah. Can we talk about $100,000 for ice cream scooping?
Yeah.
I know he's running it. I know he was.
This part of the story, I was really underground Ice Spy bartender, because the gentleman that kind of brought me on was like, I think something's going wrong here.
Yeah.
I need you to kind of infiltrate and see what's going
Take
on.
A look.
But I literally scooping ice cream.
So let me ask you this, because dude, there's going to be some people out there, man, that have to go through this, and you're going to have to swallow your ego, and you're going to have to do what you got to do, and you're going to have to take, when you're used to being on step 57, and all of a sudden you're back at 0, looking at step number 1, and you're going to have to swallow that. So, what was that first day like when you're like, okay, I'm going to put this on, I'm going to go do this? What was that like?
I had to look at myself in the mirror and almost pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And look, it was a dark time for me. I don't know if I was really me. I look back on it and go, God, I'm lucky I survived this. Most people don't, just on the personal tragedy alone. Mm-hmm. Forget the bankruptcy and the divorce and the money. It was a lot of heavy shit. And but I knew, and there was times that I didn't. I probably went 5-6 months without the job, kind of going, nobody would touch me. No corporate America chain would work. No one was hiring. The housing crash was going on. So, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And I remember driving to work going, I got to get this done. And believe it or not, I did it for my daughter. That's what I had to pay that child support and then do my part there. And that's what kind of kept me alive on that. So, the human spirit, as we talked about earlier, kind of prevails.
Well, and listen, there's probably somebody is listening to this right now going, $100,000 to scoop ice cream. I'll wear whatever the hell you want. Right. I don't need that. But you have to understand something else. Everything is relative. And you're talking about somebody that had been very successful, making well past $100,000 a year, and literally back to 0. I mean, this is everything.
It wasn't 100, by the way. It was 60.
Oh, was it 60? Oh,
I graduated to 100 when I found another job after that.
All right. Well, it's 60. Now the story might change. I don't know if the house.
But you know what? I'm just kidding. But this is like a perfect thing of, you're not starting over from 0, right? You've got so much experience now. You're not starting over like you did when you're 18 or 20. And I think people are afraid to start over in life because they think this is how it was when I was 18 years old. You have so much more education.
Well, Colt, I'll tell you that I got lucky with 60. I was prepared to take whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't get anything. Right. I really fell into that was good. But I was prepared to do whatever it took.
Sure. Just as a power move point, something that people forget and miss all the time, and it kind of got glossed over there. There is a huge value in bankruptcy. I think a lot of people don't appreciate that step in the story, and they're always so worried about it. They go, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world," but it's not. Right. It's actually hard something. It's a hard reset, and to your point, had you not been in the middle of a housing crisis, right? Had you been there today, like you could still keep all the equity in your house effectively in Nevada. Like I said, I think some people they forget about that step, and it's hugely important.
Ego prevented me from doing that for almost 2 years. I wish I would have done it 2 years earlier. 100%. It's a system that's in place for a reason.
For a reason.
And I'll tell you, without it, it would be a very struggle to get back to where I was. I had a lot of debt. It was 2 houses, a Florida house, and there was a house here. There was a lot going on.
Oh, I forgot about the Florida because you couldn't sell it either because the market turned. That's right. That's right.
I just thought it was important because that's a valuable business lesson that people think that it's the end of the world. You can walk out in Nevada a millionaire after bankruptcy, by the way.
Well, I know, but I think a lot of people, like you said, it's pride. It's pride, 100%.
Same thing goes for unemployment. A lot of people don't want to do unemployment. I don't need unemployment. You put into it.
Right.
Take it.
It's a program.
I tell any employee that ever leaves me today, I said, if you have it, take it. It is not about pride. Get the check. You've earned it. 100%. You put into it, and that's part of the deal.
Get the check, and that's part of the deal.
That's a very valuable point that people miss.
But I think now, so here you are. You didn't scoop ice cream very long. It didn't last very long.
No, I managed to get another job.
But here's the point. The point was you tried for 6 months. I mean, hitting every job there was, trying to get something, trying to get anywhere. Because when you're, it's like dating. when you ain't had a girlfriend in a year, how long's it been since you had a girlfriend? Yeah, I don't want to date you. But,
she's okay.
Yeah, but when you got 3 girlfriends, girlfriend number 4 wants to know why. So if you don't have a job and you want a job, it's okay to take something, because if you look like you're gainfully employed, even if it's something,
one step at a time.
That's
hard for people to gather and grasp, but you have to do it.
You have to do it.
So if you're out there and you're having the struggle, and I know it sucks, it's heavy, and everyone's got their own issues, right? Mine was heavy, not on the personal side. It was super heavy, and you just got to do it. If not, you're going to wither. You're going to wither away. You got to take that step. Yeah. Take whatever comes to you, because you're going to learn something from it, 100%. And it will open other doors.
Yep. So you go to. So from there, where do you wind up?
I went over to a seafood restaurant in Mandalay Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I got lucky there, and was a GM of a place called RM Seafood.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Moonen, buddy.
With Rick Moonen. Thank you, Rick, if you're watching this. He was very educational, and I learned a lot about food. Back of house was always my weakness. But at the same time, I had to make some tough choices there, because he had this real high-end upstairs chefs, sous chefs, and this whole labor thing going on, and no one was out. Vegas was struggling.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to convince him to just turn this thing and let's shut some things down. Let's make this thing viable. Let's get through this period. And it was tough. We had to let some people go, and it was not easy.
How much because Rick has notoriously high standards with the way things operate in his places. How much of that did you take on to yourself? Did you take on going forward? Because let's face it, we worked at chain restaurants. You train. Here's this. But dude, it's nothing like the standards that a chef of his level expects. And I know what his level of expectation.
Yeah, look, I mean, chef-driven places are a little different. I mean, just from a pure business point of view, I think Rick and I had an understanding of, he's a smart dude. He knows what he's doing in the kitchen. He's great with the camera. His book was doing well. He'd turned through some GMs. He'd had quite a few, and I was a little worried. I'm number 6 in a short amount of time. Why are you burning these people out? And so chef-driven things are a little different. They operate front of house a little different. It's kind of separation of church and state, right?
Artist brand.
But no, I learned a lot about how to balance that, where we didn't really have that in the corporate side that we were on, right?
Yeah.
But it's intense, man. It's intense. And I was a guy that didn't really know a whole lot about culinary. I mean, I knew my way around, but I was more business, right? Labor, people, let's marketing, let's get the sales in, let's figure out how we're going to get through this downturn in the housing deal. But at the same time, he was tough, man. He was a tough dude to work with, and he had a very high standard. You're very correct. So
yeah. What was your favorite thing you accomplished when you were at RM?
I think the unfortunate side is we had the business savvy enough to whittle it down and get it still profitable with what was going on in the market, and that was the hard part. So yeah, I think he could have really gotten strangled in that thing. I think we got him to a point where we got it running and operating correctly.
I don't recall. Was Boiler Room open before or after?
No, Boiler Room was after. Yeah. So this was the upstairs kind of deal.
When it was that tasting
menus,
deal.
Really high end stuff. Good stuff. So anyways, to carry that story on, as I would work there, right across the hall, there was this construction banner coming up with this -5 thing, right? So I didn't really know what that was about, but I kind of it opened up, and I met the folks that were actually running it. Who's Mal, my current business partner, and they kind of tapped me to come over. They needed some help. They didn't pick the right people to start with, and I was like, all right, let me get out of this environment with this chef-driven deal. So
I'm laughing because I've had 2 terrible pieces of advice I've given in my life. I mean, dreadful pieces. The first of which is when I was living in Tampa, and I got a rough cut of what would be Zac Brown's debut album. And prior to this, Zac Brown had a more of a rock edge to it, and was almost kind of like Driving and Crying. And then they super countryed it up. And I called my buddy Sonny, and I said, "This is never going to work." So there goes my career as an A&R rep, number one. And then when Noel tells me about this opportunity with the ice place, I'm like, "Bro, that shit's never going to make it."
Was that their first
goes
one?
to show.
You're very funny on that, because as I took the job, I went back to all of my restaurant people and I'm like, "What are you, crazy? That doesn't have
So it
legs.
wasn't just me.
It doesn't have legs." Look, truth be told, I wish I could take credit for creating this wonderful concept. That's from a wonderful guy named Craig Ling. He's a New Zealander. He kind of created this deal and kind of got it here to Vegas. And I was fortunate enough to come on in a very, very, months after it opened. And we didn't have it right in the beginning. For those listening, I don't know if you know what Icebars are now. Well, John, you tell me.
I'm gonna pull it up, and you keep talking. I'm gonna pull it up.
So it's an attraction where we coach you up and whisk you into a winter wonderland of 90 tons of ice. And you drink cocktails out of glasses made of ice. In the beginning,
wearing fur coats,
fur coats, fur coats, the whole bit, and it's an attraction. However, when I first came on, it really wasn't. It was really more of a high end deal. They were trying to pitch it with bottle service and caviar and this real ultra lounge kind of super swanky experience. And it was quick to me to realize that, no one's going to stay in there for 3 hours drinking.
You're going to have your drink.
$500 bottle of Tito's, right?
Right.
So we quickly, kind of pivoted to attraction mode, and it kind of just hit. And we got lucky to have Travel Channel come do a story on us, and it kind of went out to nationally, and it kind of hit. It really did. But we've morphed into a lot of things over the years.
Do you have a PR guy for that kind of stuff, or are people reaching out to you guys?
If you're watching this is if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see there's Noel right there. This is look at that young handsome man there.
Success will get you old.
We got the before picture in here today. That looks like the after photo.
Juxtaposition that with the ice cream. Can we crop that in there?
We might be able to. So yeah, this is
that
an
was
experience.
The first bar though.
This is the first one where everything's built of ice. The glasses of ice. You go in and have a great experience. That's enough of that. But yeah, it's one of those things where it is a cool attraction. When you first took it over, like you said, they were trying to do all that stuff. So you immediately, because we had a lot of conversations about this when you first did it. I'm not taking credit for any of this. So you just would bounce stuff off of me and what I thought. And I thought, being able to look at the KPIs of that business and the indicators that really make it go, I think is where you excelled and brought something to the table that they didn't have. Because just the only thing I really remember vividly, and we had a lot of conversations about a lot of things that you did, but watermarking the photographs. How much do you think annually that drove to the bottom line?
Oh, everyone would try to come out and either rip them off online or copy and paste them or do whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, hitting the watermarks and the photos were a big part of our deal, right?
Yeah.
No, huge, tons and tons of money. We were doing a couple $1 million a year in just photo sales, right? But remember, it's like, do you buy the picture after you get off the roller coaster at Disney or Six Flags? They snap you going all crazy, and people want to take pictures. And at the beginning, phones in the beginning, this was 12 years ago now. Yeah. We've been going 12 years. Yep. Did I think it was going to last 12 years? No way.
Yeah.
No way. And I want to get into how we kind of have grown with the time.
No, we're getting to that,
but the photo thing in the beginning, the phones really weren't super attached to people 12 years ago. We had lockers. We wanted to lock everything up for multiple reasons. You're holding a glass made of ice, and if you're dealing with your phone and whatever you drop it's a liability. So we would lock up your bags and your goods, and our photographers would come in, and we wanted to sell the photo. Mm-hmm. But eventually, that became a very contentious point, and I held on to it probably
too long,
2 years longer than I should have, because we didn't want to lose that revenue. It was a very, very difficult step for me to take. But once we did it, the viral nature of social media was hitting at the same time. It actually increased sales and made a better experience
because you were driving it. So, I mean, literally, your product is a room full of ice. It is a couple of drinks that come with your entrance.
Booze, John. The answer is booze.
Booze, that's it. But what I'm saying is, coming from the restaurant business where you're trying, you're like, oh crap, this, these steaks are going to go bad if we don't sell them today. Chicken wings are on sale, whatever.
Blue plate special, baby.
And you're trying to balance your labor. You're trying to do this. I mean, literally, you go to it's the simplest thing in the world to do.
A lot of people.
But yet I see people screwed up. That's my point.
A lot of people would think that it's simple. I'm just going to build a freezer and walk-in cooler and then have it happen. We learned a lot.
Yeah.
Ice is perishable. It has a mind of its own, and it does different things every time. But it's also molecular. So when you think about it, the ice, these big blocks that we put together, and before you know it, after a couple of days, it just blends and melds together. But more so than that, we were experiential before the whole experiential thing came into play. This is 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Look at Vegas today. We were way ahead of the curve.
All the VR stuff,
all that, the skate
no wheel,
rooms,
none
Area
of it.
51. We were
Jason Egan stuff.
an ice bar in the middle of the Mojave Desert and having this experiential 45-minute experience. We played well off the heat, but we were kind of ahead of the curve. And I think the beauty of our 12-year success is I'd never rest on my laurels. And it's funny because I've got a pretty legit, loyal management team that's been with me a long time. And I kind of come out of left field with some crazy concepts. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
What are you thinking? How do you keep up with it? And I get a little nervous about and there's so much immersive stuff going on right now. I'm reading a book, or I read it already, called The Experience Economy. And if you haven't read it, you need to pick it up. It's amazing. It talks about everything from how people are vacationing, these bloggers and these Instagrammers, these influencers are going out to foreign countries and they're, it's a work vacation. There's foodie vacations. There's medical vacations. I'm going to Mexico to get my teeth done. And it's amazing what people are doing. You know who our biggest competition is right now?
Who?
It's a cell phone. I tell my staff every day, the second someone gets on a phone, and I'm not talking about to text their friends, hey, we're at the Ice Bar, we're going to meet up later. I'm talking when they're just surfing, we've lost them. We've got to keep them engaged.
Off of their phones.
Really, fast forward 12 years, used to be we celebrated the art of ice. That was enough for people to get excited. It's not cheap to come in there, right? You come in there, and we're always changing it. Ice is pliable. That's what's beautiful. We can move the bar. It just changes. In the beginning, it was like, wow, this ice is cool. And then the ice got smarter and better and more colorful, and we did cooler things, interactive things. But now that's not enough. So we started adding different things. Right? What's this QR stuff about? What's a QR code? So now I've got QR codes all around with time lapses of how this particular wall was built, an expose on the ice carver that built it. We've added so many more immersive features inside. I've got a sorbet tasting game. We have chef-driven.
So you want to stare at your phone? At least stare at your phone with stuff that's involved with our place.
We have tricks in our back pocket that we tell our people the timing of introducing these experiential concepts within our concept. You need to wait. Don't blast them all at once. We know the life of an ice experience. It's
and ring toss. Right.
Well, we had the ring toss until people start throwing them. They shouldn't be throwing them. But sorbet tasting games. If you guess the flavors, we've got all these exotic flavors to scavenger hunts.
Do you have human flavored? Just curious for help.
I didn't say I'd eat it. I was asking if Chris, the most interesting guy I know, would eat human flesh. That was it. That was all I was asking.
All right.
Hey, Noel, do you have a PR team but a big one, or is a lot of it social media? Because you guys, if you know what you're looking at, right? Like you see a billboard and you're like, oh, now I see it all the time. Like now that I know you guys are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I see you on national channels, on local channels all the time.
Because we have such an exciting concept, it's an ice bar in the middle of the Mojave Desert. The camera does love us, and it creates such rich content.
Right.
But yeah, I have a PR firm to kind of help do some of that stuff. But the influencers, my social media gal is really where it's at. You've got to get everywhere to compete, and you've got to have rich great content for people to get excited about.
So you guys are kicking ass here. You get where you're up and running. The first store's here, and you start thinking to yourself, I'm gonna take over the world. We're gonna have Icebars on
domination
every corner. It's gonna be an ice age,
and that's when the big bucks start rolling.
Exactly. So what are the thoughts? You see, you get established at Manly Bay. It's doing great. So now you start dreaming about world domination. What happens now?
You know, we wanted to take another stab at Vegas. The question was, how many of these can we really do? Right? Is this a one-hit wonder? Right. Do we figure it out? And I had a knack. I don't know if the company really was going to move on. I mean, we had intentions to, but I'd been there and done that with Outback. I mean, I was all over the country signing leases and really knew how to scale, if you will. And we knew that this concept really wasn't for every town in America. It has to be a tourist town with specific turnover every week. Right. You know, we didn't do New Orleans, which I really wanted to do. It's so hot, they drink, and you can drink on the street. But New Orleans can be a regional play. Same people kind of come every year. So about 4 years into it, you might fall off because they've all done it, right? So Vegas, Orlando, Nashville, you know, those types of really big turnover types of towns. New York. But I really started scouting Vegas and looking for dead spots in casinos. And our next stop was I went to Monte Carlo. And there was the old David Copperfield, or not David Copperfield, but there was a theater in there.
Jabberwockies?
No, there was a theater.
For Jabberwockies.
It wasn't Copperfield. I forgot the guy's name. Lance Burton.
There you go.
Theater. And I was like, it was just dead 80s gift shop and a couple of shows. And I was like, you know, let me pitch these guys and see what's up. You know, we were already partners with MGM. And sure enough, you know, we managed to pull that off. And we put our second store there, and it just came out of the gate. My gangbusters. Doing really well. And of course, from them, we're like, oh shit, we're the throttle down. We're moving on.
Millions.
Now, right?
One on every corner.
Yeah, every corner.
Is most of your people coming walk-bys, or are they people actually finding you to come to the experience?
Like good question. It's a 50% viral, organic kind of walk-by. And then the other 50 is kind of destination. We pre-sell a ticket online. They know where they're going. We're part of their plans. We're before dinner, after dinner, before show, after show. And that is growing exponentially because of all of the digital advertising, the things that we're doing online. Mm-hmm. That's why we're popping up everywhere. You know, if you're not using digital marketing, you know, if you're in business, shame on you. You have to use it.
You have to.
And know what you're doing.
So Monte Carlo's open. But then all of a sudden they come to you and go like, hey, just kidding. Just kidding.
No, they went in there. We got about 3 or 4 years out of it. Well, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Because I from that we started really.
Colt interrupted you and just ruined the whole podcast.
I'm sorry.
It's every.
Thanks, Colt.
No, because your location's very
ruined the podcast.
That mall's a very to me it's just a weird location, right? That walkway. So I just always wondered that.
Took us a year to convince Mandalay Bay to do it.
Really?
It's another story. But then we wound up getting a spot in New York. Then some people started coming to us. You know, some people had experienced it, and they were looking for cool, immersive attractions. Retail was starting to kind of slow down. They wanted cool things for their property. So long story short, we got New York going at the...
It's the second temperature-related pun.
Right? See? We got New York City, and then we did one in Orlando on International Drive. And so we had 4 going, and things were kind of swimmingly until
dun dun dun. What happened, Noel?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes you pick good real estate, sometimes you pick bad real estate, and you guys are in the real estate game, especially on the commercial side. And New York was great. Matter of fact, when New York hit, we opened up in a heat wave in July, and the media, I've never seen anything like it in my life. For a week straight, we had lines and lines of national media waiting to get in and film. We were being broadcast in Egypt and you name it. We were everywhere, which I think is great. I know is great. It helped really get Vegas on a national stage. Orlando, you know, we opened for about 2 years. It was just the wrong site, wrong place. We thought it was going to work.
Point stuff.
Convention center, and it just did not work. So we wound up closing that deal. And sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for.
So let's talk about that. So this is another mistake that a lot of people make when they start to scale, right? And I love talking about scaling businesses because that's what I kind of feel like my forte is. And, you know, you asked me earlier, you said, hey, have you made a mistake yet? You asked me flat out with scaling. I was like, yeah, we made a mistake in Atlanta. We made a mistake with we backed the wrong horse. And rather than go down the hole of just, losing our ass, we just said, hey, maybe it's better time we cut bait and move this somewhere else. And that's what we did. But at the same time, when you're in growth mode, that's a really hard thing to do. I know it was for me. So were you strictly looking at P&Ls? Like, are you starting to add up like this is feeding that and this is causing a problem? And what was that decision like for you?
Of course, you've got partners, and sometimes in certain situations you've got OPM, other people's money that are involved, and you have liability to them, and you're trying to get their return on investment back. And closing a store is not an easy decision. I mean, I think pride certainly is one of the first things you have to overcome. I can make it work. I can turn it around. We're winners, and especially on the restaurant side. You let me get a crack at that. I'm gonna switch it up. But you can't send a duck to Eagle School. The site is what it is. You just can't. Tiger doesn't change its stripes. You
can't send a duck to Eagle School.
I like that a lot. It's true, because
I think that's the best thing said today.
That's great.
How many people do that all the time? You see the same restaurant go in, out in 8 months, in, out in 8 months. Everybody's like, they didn't know what they were doing.
The death spot, as I call them. That's a death spot.
You get lightning can strike a couple times, but when you got the fifth iteration of a restaurant, it's usually something, right?
You've been to Town Square?
Yeah, right?
Dude.
There are a couple spots there that are just cursed. There is a witch that is cursed.
If you're facing double helix,
we all know which one.
Everything they were is done.
Almost went
you're
up
done.
There. I almost went up there with our new Bohemia concept.
If you're to the right, you're done.
You have to be left. Left,
left. You can dance underwater and not get wet.
As much as you want.
On the right,
to the right,
you are barbecued from day one. No, I can do this. They've had 9 iterations.
However,
12 things years.
How does Blue Martini do it?
Well,
they're
they're on the left.
That's it. They're on the left. Then over here, you got favoritism. Right?
There was literally there's no rhyme or reason.
You got favoritism.
No rhyme or reason.
Oh, national brands, right? There's certain national brands that can pull you back in the back thing. There's a lot that could work there. Just there's no need to compete in that big a space. But
the right side.
That's how you right, like you see it.
John, back to your point. When is the right time to cut bait and move on? Right, right. That's the hard question for everybody. And we had to make some tough decisions with it, and I think it's the best thing we've ever done. Kind of like back to your bankruptcy thing. I didn't want to do it.
I know.
I fought it. But as soon as I did it, all the doors opened. Right.
And you know what people always say? Well, I'm not the kind of person that quits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You associate losses with who you are as a person. Right. Meanwhile, instead of being like, well, what winners do is they do the things they win at too. Right. Yeah. Because Derek Jeter is probably a pretty shitty offensive lineman. Right. But I'm a winner with the Yankees. I should be great. It's like, no. Like you said, ducks don't go to Eagle School. And we can all be Uncle Rico and be like, if coach would have put me in, I would have won state. But
you saying the captain can't block? Is that what you're saying right now? You say, I bet there's some New York Yankee fans that disagree with that. The saying the captain can't block.
Throw in some wedge breakers. Once in a while, maybe something. But you're right. You can't put a duck in Eagle School for that very same reason. You just realize
you have to look at yourself in the mirror and make that decision. And some people, that's their last location. Think of these mom and pop folks, right? Yeah. They're going to have to keep it going, or but it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You've got to move on.
Along those terms, it's funny. I did a speaking gig right about a year ago. One of the deals I did, it was in one of the barbershop I was there. And it just, you remember he's come up on your stories where people tag you and stuff. And this happened a year ago. And every single kid, this was a bunch of 20-year-old kids, right? It was a bunch of really young really young crew for me, not my normal standard crowd, right? And the thing that they were all posting that I resonated with, that I said when I was like, look, don't become what you do, because what you do will change several times. And I think the ability for truly successful people that scale is their ability to detach themselves from the failures and just let the truth be in the math.
You know what I learned from the Outback fallout?
What's that?
It was my whole identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did not know anything else except what I learned with that company. I knew people. I knew energy.
But it's who you were.
But I literally, when you say don't let it become who you are, it was who I was. I was devastated.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't really understand what I went through.
Oh,
it was heavy, man. It was a tough time. But you're absolutely right. You have to have a life outside of what you do, and you have to balance that. If not, you just become possessed, and it'll hurt you. It'll sting you.
Don't make bad corporate decisions.
Yeah. Like, don't let who you are become,
towing John's car after 6 Margaritas at Chili's.
Thought I forgot about Chili's. I did not. I'm guessing Noel was in Salt Lake City for a couple years. He may know somebody up there, like an attorney or somebody like that. Chili's,
Look out, Chili's. We're coming
towing
for
my
you.
car. You know, I didn't forget about you. You thought you were going to get a pass. I didn't forget about you. But you know what else I didn't forget about? It is that time that my favorite time of the podcast we go every year, every week.
Are you ready, Noel?
Are you ready for this?
I have no idea what's coming, but I'm ready.
It could get dark. It's my favorite time.
You're not in trouble. It's me that gets in trouble now.
It's a dark and evil place. It is 5 questions into the mind of Colt.
Still upset that's the music you guys went through.
No, okay,
I'm going to figure out good, upbeat, happy, because that's what people think of when they think of me.
No, it's a dark and terrible place. And now we're gonna go. Ready? Here we are. Your 5 questions for the week, Colt. You prepared?
No, let's hear 'em.
What is one thing you wish you'd spent more time doing when you were younger?
One thing I wish I would have done.
Yes.
Having fun. Sports. I was into sports way too much as a kid.
You would have done less sports?
Less sports?
100%. I probably wouldn't have played any sports, to be honest, if I could redo it again.
God, what a bad take.
Why?
That's like, think about what sports
Dude,
do.
football, no. What did it do? Freaking wreck my knees, wreck my brain, wreck my...
Physically, he's beat up.
But also, like I don't know if I'm a kid at 18, but I didn't have a college experience. Like I went straight into doing commercial real estate and working a lot. So I wish I'd have had fun doing that. But no, I don't know. I had a good childhood. So
sports is
really.
I actually think sports is one of the most instrumental things
100%.
for people that gets overshadowed because people think it's for meatheads when in reality everybody I know
but
was very successful.
It was 6 days 6 days a week,
yeah.
52 weeks a year, right?
Yeah.
So
At
I wish
a
I
high
wouldn't have
level,
much.
yeah.
Dude.
So nothing important there. Sorry.
Next question.
Kind of lame.
If you were a boss of many, would you want them to fear you or love you?
Oh, fear.
No
Do we need to go back to the 48 laws of power? That thing's fucking amazing.
Colt, it's the closest I've ever seen Colt to like literally passing out from happiness when we were reading the 48 laws of power.
Have you read that, Noel?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude,
man.
it is. Yeah, Robert Greene will tell you straight up. He's like, look, I'm
not advocating you behave like this. I'm just saying this is how you get power.
This is how you get power.
Colt's going, no. That is a manifesto.
That is a manifesto for my life.
Did you guys not really enjoy that as much as I did?
Colt, I was sitting here thinking about those are traits of narcissistic psychopaths.
And you were all about it, which was amazing. All right, next up.
We need to do that episode again.
If you were a captain of a ship, what would you call it?
Captain of a ship?
Yes, if you were sailing the seas of Colt in search of humans to hunt on the open seas. No, the eating was for Connell. He just gonna hunt him down.
That was for Connell, guys. That wasn't me. A name of a ship?
Yes. What would it be?
You gotta give me time on the.
You're such a good friend. I thought might be the relationship.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Is that what you think of me? Good
Yeah.
friend? Thanks.
He'd be the
Call me the
relationship.
relationship.
The captain of the relationship.
Yeah.
I have
I'm just
nothing
trying to,
for
like,
that one. I'm
diffuse
trying to go with the think of a.
I thought it would be
the Bulgarian freaking mongoose.
No, I thought it would be the Yvette because it'll take you wherever you want to go, but eventually it's probably going to drown you.
It's going to hit a thing.
Eventually it's going to
That's a hard one. What would you guys name yours? What would you name yours? That's a hard one.
Name mine if I had a ship?
Yeah.
The Prestige Worldwide.
That's pretty good.
There's one
The
answer.
Love Boat.
The love boat?
The Love Boat.
What? That's a hard question. I didn't like that
All right,
question.
Colt, here we go.
Colt didn't like
That's a
that
hard.
question.
These are so far. Sorry, guys.
There we go.
Sorry, guys.
All
These
right.
ones are not good.
Oh, gee, this could go anywhere.
I like when John's face picks up.
What's the strangest thing you've ever seen in the middle of the road?
Decapitated
Oh.
body.
Yeah, that's strange. Yeah.
And that's but you'll see a
Can you
lot
give
of
some
shit
context,
in Utah.
Colt? Did you do it?
No. I've unfortunately had multiple times bodies have flown in front of my car.
Are you watching Stranger Things a little more than you need to?
Never seen it. Never seen it. But in Utah, you find a lot of weird shit in the middle of the road driving around. You don't do that in Vegas.
You do.
First time we were ever
see
in
a
Cleveland, I
cat.
saw a dead body in the road.
You know what? I think.
Yeah. I was like, somebody else was talking about a dead body in the road. It was your daughter, Chris. Chris's daughter. Tell me a thing.
Family trip to
I'm
Cleveland.
going to hijack the segment, and we're going to do 5 questions with Noel.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. Those were bad on my
That's
part.
fine. Here we go.
Is this
Here we go.
time power
Here we
move?
go.
Yeah, sorry.
Is a man if he's never seen a Star Wars movie?
Yes.
Yes, he is. Okay.
He's like a real man at that point,
he's thinking
right?
of like Amazonian, tribesmen that are, hunting for survival. That's a man.
That's a man.
So
Perhaps he lives in a third world and hunts tigers.
That and
Okay.
I feel like I mirror that type of manliness. No,
Buying or selling? Tom Hanks, great actor.
speak your mind. Be be truthful.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
Bye.
Name
Sorry,
one.
I'm just trying to rile you up. That's all I'm
Wilson.
trying to do here.
You're going Wilson. You're going that
just
movie.
That one line. Forrest Gump. Come on, he's pretty good in that.
Saving Private Ryan.
All right.
No, you got out of your mind.
Next
you know
question.
how better of a movie those would be with like better
movie?
actors.
All right. Next
With
question.
like The Rock.
Next question.
The Rock and Saving Private Ryan would be amazing.
Here we go.
As an
Cry.
English teacher.
I would cry.
Next question. Is there any universe where Colt could be an equestrian Olympian in a year and a half?
Starting today, he has 1.5 years to train with the best there are, the greatest access to the best, jumping horses there are. Do you think that Colt, in his current state, as it is day to day, 500 days out, be an Olympian, equestrian medalist?
I have my answer,
Okay.
and it's going to be well backed up. No. Absolutely not.
You've 4 for 4, Noel.
You know why?
4 for 4.
I'm waiting before I.
He played way too many sports in high school, and his knees are busted.
Oh.
Yeah, but guess what, Noel? It's more of just a shock absorbent because the horse does everything, and I could suffer for. How long do they go? For 2 minutes? 90 seconds?
So you don't think that training every single day for the next 500 days would have something to do with it?
I don't think you need to train that hard. I think it's all mental. Equestrian is just not being afraid of the horse because the horse does everything.
I love that I'm going against the grain of every cult question.
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
I'm the
You're
blind
nailing it,
man.
but
It's because you're a human. You're not a pod person.
Yeah, and he said I was a
This is
man.
why.
It's
He
like
said
saying
I was a
that,
man for not seeing.
It's funny you didn't talk about the bobsled because I assume you think that does all the work too.
No, because have you ever seen bobsledders?
Yes.
They're like 6'4", 240. I don't have
Shredded,
the frame for it. Yeah, they're like middle linebackers.
Jamaican
That's
team
impressive.
was.
Cool running.
I could have been a luge or a skeleton.
The double luge where they lay
on
each other.
top.
You could be the top guy.
Do that every Saturday. Got a lot of training.
There it is. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and end on that.
Noel, really? You're going Tom Hanks was amazing in the what
Castaway?
was that? Castaway?
Castaway.
I can't believe you even watched that whole you guys you have
I'm with you
did
maybe
not
on the
watch that
terminal or
whole
something 'cause
movie.
I didn't even watch it. But come on, Saving Private Ryan, Forrest Gump. Think about
Forrest Gump's
Colt.
obnoxious.
What you're talking
As
about
you
right
drift
now
off if you're still listening to this
so
nonsense.
obnoxious.
Remember,
of a
thanks to the
movie.
power move, and if you're going to move, keep moving forward. See you next time.
Yeah, run, Forrest,
Cheers.
run.
From the
Run,
heart of the
Forrest.
deal to keeping
Horrible
it
movie.
real.
Hey, it's John Gafford. If you want to catch
From the
up
Simply
more,
Vegas
see what we're doing.
studios.
We need a bourbon.